Hey, my name's Inter, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering patch 9.11 in 8 minutes. If you enjoy these quick patch overviews, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ping the notification bell to stay updated, but let's just jump right in. So first up we have the RuneScape Event. This crossover comes with skins for Vamana, Bellona, Cerberus, Merlin and Neath. These skins can be equipped with capes on their back, which can be earned by completing various objectives in game. For example, the Slayer cape, you need 600 kills to acquire that one, and there will also be master versions of a lot of these capes that require 3 times the grind to unlock, so the Master Slayer cape will be 1800 kills. Other skins are coming for this patch as well for Lancelot, Gilgamesh, Yamoja, Yu Huang, Baron Samedi, Medusa and Freya. The Cyber Tokyo Battle Pass is also coming with skins for Ares, Cleaner, Izanami and Hera among other cosmetics. And finally, skins for Pele, Nike and Ganesha will be in the bonus update dropping November 29th. 9.11 Smite Night will be Domination for week 1, Siege for week 2, All Out Slash for week 3 and Corrupted Arena for week 4. Joust and Duel will be swapping maps for this update, with Joust now taking place on the Season 3 larger Jade Corruption Joust map and Duel now taking place on the smaller Season 3 Chinese Joust map. Item nerfs are coming for late game burst damage and penetration, with Titan's Bane seeing a cost increase and power reduction, Obsidian Shard is getting the same changes, and Staff of Murden is getting a nerf to the bonus damage on its passive. The Crusher is getting a slight physical power reduction. Bancroft's Claw is seeing another reduction to its max HP shielding from 0.75% to 0.5%. And that's actually it for item nerfs this patch, but there's going to be a ton of buffs to different items as well, some of which are pretty huge. A few mage starter option changes are coming, with Santa Time getting an increase to its true damage to minions. Vampiric Shroud is getting a shift, but overall should be a buff with increased power, lifesteal and MP5, but the protections and health on the item are being removed. So it will make this item a lot more useful for those standard burst mages that want a bit of sustain rather than being for bruisers. Similar changes are also coming to the upgrades of Shroud as well, with Sacrificial getting the health removed but more protections added along with MP5, and Blood Soaked has the protections removed but gains more health, power and MP5. Soul Gem got a huge buff, reducing its stacks required to trigger the passive from 4 to 3. This will allow a lot of the mages to guarantee get at least 1 proc of the item from dropping their whole kit on someone, and real abusers of the item like Yanis are going to be a lot stronger. Chronos Pendant got a small cost reduction, Warding Sigil got a buff to its protections, making it a little bit more competitive as a starter item over there. Berserker's Shield got increased protections and increased damage mitigation to the passive, so this should hopefully help with some solo lane auto attackers to compete with a lot of the strong ability based solo laners going on right now. Mystical Mail also got a buff with increased health and protection, so you pay a little bit less of a cost to base stats for that powerful passive effect. Runic Shield reduces more power with its aura now. The Sledge got more power and more physical protections, but not more magical protections for some reason, I don't really know why. Spirit Robe got a cost reduction, making an already pretty strong item even easier to pick up in your build. Gauntlet of Thebes, again another strong item, it gets 5 more stacks now than it used to, so you get 5 more of each protections on the item, but it will take slightly longer to stack. Gilded Arrow gets a buff to the attack speed and mana gain on killing a marked target, and the same will also apply to Diamond Arrow. Griffin Wing Earrings get more power and more attack speed. This item is slowly becoming more and more cost effective for the stats it gives, and once it gets to that point where it's worth buying for the stats, I think we'll probably see this item quite a lot. Serrated Edge got a substantial cost reduction and lifesteal increase, and finally for items, various underperforming relics got buffs this patch. With Drowned Ankh now anti-healing 60% instead of 40%, that's really huge to be honest, and applying this with just Divine Ruin and this is 100% anti-heal already. Bracer of Illumination gets more power and movement speed, Cloak of the Avatar gets more health and mana restoration, Scorching Blink gets an extra tick of damage after they leave the fire line, Tremblem will now trigger the Tremble at 10% max HP instead of 15%, and the Tremble duration was doubled from 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds, so this is a pretty damn huge buff for this relic. Both variants of Heavenly Wings get 5% more movement speed, both variants of Thorns also got buffs, with Overgrowth reflecting 10% more damage and the cap on the damage is increased, with Sapping Thorns now debuffing lifesteal 50% instead of 25% and getting the same increase to the damage cap. 50% reduction on lifesteal is very huge in this meta with Devos going around and stuff like that, so I expect to see a lot more of this item on tanks that don't want to get shredded late game. And finally, Sundering Siphon now steals 24% current health over 3 seconds instead of 20% current health over 4 seconds, so more health stolen and over a faster time period. Definitely a substantial buff for an item that was already decent in my opinion. Moving on to god changes though, Agni gets base damage increases to Flame Wave and also Rainfire. Keep in mind that the buff to Rainfire effectively has to be multiplied by 3, so a pretty substantial damage increase for our two-headed friend here. Anubis 1 now starts at 11 seconds regardless instead of scaling from 15 seconds down to 11 seconds. This is pretty nice considering Anubis 1 is often the ability you rank last. Discordia gets 10 more damage at all ranks to her unruly magic. Hera gets increased range on her 1 and increased shield health on her 3, hopefully allowing her to stay a bit more safe in fights. Nua's Fog gets a 2-second cooldown reduction. Scylla's 2 now gets 20% additional damage to minions and jungle monsters, which should help out her early game clear quite a bit. Jungle Scylla anyone? Zeus gets buffs. Why? Increased base damage on both his 1 and 3 by 10 at all ranks. Keep in mind that his 3 deals 2.3 times the damage with 3 charges, so this is a little bit more substantial of a buff than you might think. Morrigan gets some really huge nerfs to 3 of her abilities in this patch. First up, her 1 now deals less damage to minions and has reduced power scaling. Her 2 deals 5 less damage across the board for all the different applications of it, and her ultimate now has a longer cooldown in the later ranks, but it's the same at rank 1. AMC gets huge nerfs to both the base damage on Swarm, hurting his early game wave clear and poking, as well as the cooldown refund on his Stinger. Why was this ever at 80% in the first place? This is just absolutely ridiculous considering how much this ability does. Hades 3 gets a large nerf in early game base damage that becomes smaller as you rank the ability up. Late game this is negligible and makes almost no difference, but at level 1 the damage is hard. This should hopefully help with the ridiculous lane pressure that Hades has in the solo lane right now. Gilgamesh now gets a lot of HP 5 while his 1 is active. Considering this ability can stay active for a very long time if you continue basic attacking people, this will give him a lot of extra sustain when boxing in solo and shouldn't be underrated as a change. He also gets a cooldown decrease to dropkick. Wukong's passive protections are now doubled from 1 per level to 2 per level, while the slow and attack speed slow on his 2 was increased in duration from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. Sylvanas now gets the 1 second cooldown refund on his passive at level 15 instead of level 17, bringing it more in line with the support starter item upgrades, as well as 1 second off the cooldown of his 1 at all ranks. Jing Chen gets a buff to his 2's cooldown to compensate for the fact that it now DRs itself and DRs super hard. Kronos now gets more attack speed early on with his 2, but the same late game, and more power increase from segment 3 on that ability, while getting increased damage on his 3 as well. Danza now gains more power from his passive and increased base damage on Fool's Gold. Hachiman was very sad about Ishtar's 1 just being his 1 but better, and so that now deals 10% more scaling on those shots. Plus his banner now lasts 6 seconds at all ranks instead of 4 scaling up to 6 seconds. Ishtar's 3 now gives immunity frames that are more representative of the animation. This is a general increase to the immunity frames that the ability gives. Bastet's 2 now gets more scaling, and finally Cleo's 2 also gets more scaling. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out you nerds.